Welcome to Beyond Wealth, Success Unscripted with Matt Calnan. Discover the personal drive, professional journeys, and business strategies that have made a real impact. It's success from the inside out.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today we're chatting with Kim Sankey, Executive Director of Health Operations for Vision Loss Rehabilitation Canada, a licensed physiotherapist and co-host of the Inspired Souls podcast. So first of all, Kim, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us today. And do you want to maybe just start off by talking a little bit about yourself and what you've got going on?
Oh, wow. That's an open-ended question. Thanks for having me, Matt. I'm happy to be here. Well, you gave a good high-level summary. I'm currently in a leadership role with an amazing organization that provides vision rehabilitation to individuals with sight loss. And it's been an interesting journey to get to this point in my career. In my brain, still identify primarily as a physiotherapist. I'm still a licensed physio. I practiced clinically for over 20 years, owned my own practice for almost 10 of those in BC. And through my journey, ended up kind of in a hybrid management and clinical role in going into COVID. And COVID pushed me full-time into management at that point. There was just a lot to do during that period in our human experience. And I'm currently, after a few moves around the country, now situated in Calgary, working for a nonprofit that, like I said, provides vision rehabilitation, which is a completely different type of rehab than I ever knew existed prior to joining this organization. And it's been very stimulating, challenging, a learning curve, but intensely rewarding. We do really, really important work, and I'm really happy to be where I am right now. So
awesome.
That's a high-level summary.
No, it's great. What is that? Like, what is the vision rehabilitation?
Yeah, vision rehabilitation. So the individuals with sight loss can have vision along a broad spectrum, right? You can go from just needing a 1.0 magnification on your reading glasses to completely blind. And so as individuals start to lose their sight or suddenly lose their sight due to traumatic accident or surgery or some other reason, you need to learn how to function within your environment and within your world. So it's a very functional type of intervention. We do consider ourselves healthcare providers. We used to be part of CNIB, the Canadian National Institute of the Blind. And about 7 years ago, it was identified that it wasn't entirely appropriate to perform rehab and healthcare with donors' dollars and golf tournaments and galas. It just wasn't a sustainable funding source. There were a lot of layoffs and rehiring. And so we made the decision to bifurcate or separate and become an independent org with a board of directors, nonprofit status that allows us to have provincial funding across the country. Grant funding or healthcare spending dollars that fund our work. And so back to your question of what is vision rehab, just some kind of simple examples. The most extreme would be somebody loses their sight suddenly. They go in for brain surgery and they wake up, without vision, or they're in a car accident and they have glass in their eyes and they lose their vision. How do you walk? How do you walk with a cane? How do you shave without cutting yourself? How do you get dressed, right? How do you perform those basic functions of safety? And then further to that, say somebody is slowly losing their vision because of a genetic disorder, for example. Technology is a huge part of what we do now. Virtual reality, AI, magnification with different handheld magnifiers and desktop technology. That area is exploding. So we have specialists that teach people how to use, voiceover on their phones. Apple is a really key player. They have a lot of integrated technology. Many of you might think of the Oculus Quest gaming, headset. Well, we use those with a plus, right? We have headsets that can identify faces, can tell you what money is in your hand, can scan barcodes and tell you what product you're holding in your hand. So the world is really changing for people with vision loss to make it more accessible in many different ways.
It's funny. That's kind of one area that I wouldn't have thought about in terms of
Mm,
technology helping out, but it
mhm.
kind of seems like a no-brainer when AI can start to detect things so quickly, in a lot of cases faster than we can, that it's going to be able to assist those people. Does it do it primarily then through converting that image into like sound, like where
Yeah,
it's telling them
exactly.
what that
So,
is?
so if somebody has got sight loss but still hearing, because we also work with people who are both deaf and blind,
Okay,
but if they have good hearing, a lot of it is the audio cues, right? There's apps on your phone you yourself could download right now that would scan, a barcode, and it would say this product is this name with this many milliliters, right?
right, right, yeah.
Or like I said, currency, or you can get it memorizing, say, 10 faces, so that when this person walks in front of you, you just hold your phone, it'll say,
Cool.
George is standing in front of you. So yeah, I mean, that's the tech side. There's the simpler side of just, certain sunglasses with different colored filters, or handheld magnifiers to allow grandma to be able to read her medication bottle. So, there's a broad range of needs that we address.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's interesting. I for some reason got the vision of, you remember on Star Trek, was it Geordi, I think, that had
Mm,
the kind of the, I don't
yes.
even know what you call it, but that it was artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah,
That's allowing you.
exactly.
Now this is
Yep.
obviously a little bit different because it's not doing the visual side, but it's converting that into an audio, which is kind of cool. See, everything from Star Trek has come true.
Yep. Right. Low. Exactly. Now you mentioned the audio cues. There are haptic cues as well. Haptics is vibrations or different tactile
Oh, okay.
cues that can be combined for people that I didn't turn my dinger off here. For people that need that additional source of sensory feedback.
Interesting.
But
And how would
yeah.
that work? Like, is it a wearable device like you have on your hand, or is it like on the device itself that vibrates, or?
I am by no means an expert in these areas. I'm the person who
Yeah.
manages the people and leads
Yeah.
the people that know more about this stuff. But yes, to my knowledge, it is a wearable. For example, a watch that will vibrate, or if you're holding a phone, it will give different types of vibrations or different cues, mean
Okay.
different things. Exactly.
Is there like in that vision rehabilitation? So it sounds like it's very much saying, here's the point that you're at, and here's the tools that we can then provide to help support in, understanding the world going on around you. Is there anything that you can do with vision that helps bring back vision or improves it at all? Or is it
Mhm.
really one of those things where, we've kind of lost it at this point, so now we just need to get the tools that are best?
So that is a great question. It depends. It brings us to the point of how are we defining rehabilitation? So in the clients that we work with and in our scope of practice, it is teaching them to function within the vision that they have. We don't,
Yeah.
have a goal to restore lost vision. We're not ophthalmologists, we're not optometrists. And then there is a type of therapy called vision therapy, where people will work on training the eye muscles, right? To do certain things. However, our specialists are much more functional focused. So like, how do you function within the level of sight that you have? And our mission is really to help our clients live the life that they choose in
Mhm.
whatever way they decide. Yeah.
Yeah, loss of vision, I would think, has to be probably the most important sense to have lost, right? I mean, if you lose hearing, you can still communicate quite effectively. I mean, I guess it'd be weird to lose touch, but I don't think that usually happens. But I would think that this is probably the most challenging thing for somebody to lose in terms of one of those senses being lost.
I think one could argue every sense is important, but it is definitely one that significantly impacts almost every aspect of a person's life.
Hmm.
Um, I became a physiotherapist, and I, developed a passion for people with disabilities and rehabilitation because my brother had a spinal cord injury when he was a teenager
Okay.
and is paralyzed now from the chest down. And I mean, that happened in a blink. He went to bed one night and woke up the next day with his life completely altered, relying on others to help him do basic bodily functions, needing to have his whole home renovated to allow for mobility, new car, like just completely different. And I kind of compare at least rapid sight loss in a similar angle, where not only does your life completely change and you have to completely function, but the people around you, your support systems, their lives also very much changed. They need you now more than ever to just even navigate from the bedroom to the bathroom, right? And so I think loss of touch, which would be paralysis, right? And movement and loss of sight, I think, are probably two of the most significantly impactful things that affects a person's ability to function. Yeah.
Yeah. And you did give the path a little bit on kind of how you got into this organization, but what's kind of the driving factor for being in that not-profit sector for you? Because you came from the private industry, right? As a physiotherapist, what drove that into the nonprofit side? I know it
Values.
wasn't money.
Values. It was not money. Nobody joins a nonprofit to become rich. That is
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I can't say I won't ever go back into the, private sector, private sector, but you're right. I spent my whole career in a for-profit environment, myself personally as a business owner, and then working for some large organizations where profit was a key motivator. Great people in all areas, but I just reached a point in my career where I really, really wanted to work with people that were doing the work for the right reason, for the clients, for the people first and foremost. Rehabilitation and healthcare is it's a people business no matter what way you go. You're either helping people help people, or you're helping the people directly. And I just reached a point where I really wanted to feel very value aligned, and money was not the most important thing. That is coming from a first world place of privilege for me to be able to make that decision and have the resources to choose. But I'm feeling very, very settled where I am right now, because I do feel like every single person in this organization is so intensely passionate, intensely passionate about the clients that they work with.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
The transition from being an everyday physiotherapist into a management role, talk about that and maybe some of the pros and cons of the challenges that would have occurred there.
Oh, that was a grieving process. I'll be honest. I love working with people one-on-one. I love touching a person to help them, right? That's what a physiotherapist does, prescribing those exercises and getting into the gym and doing them with them. And so when I moved into it was a 60-40 split at the time, management role about, I don't know, almost 10 years ago now. It was hard for me to let my clients go and put them in this little box within 2 or 3 days of the week rather than 4 days of the week.
Yeah.
But I found myself really burning out. You can't just separate them. I was doing both jobs all the time. And so it was actually my board that I was working with at the time that said, you can't be in the engine room and steer the ship at the same time. Like, you need to choose which direction you want to go.
Yeah.
And it was COVID that kind of forced me. I ended up having to lay off 30 people, rehire them all slowly back, and couldn't ethically say, well, now I want to take a piece of the pie that you're trying to make a life living with. Well, I'm still a manager. So I just didn't go back to clinical practice at that time. And it was, again, COVID was horrible, but it forced a lot of really good change as far as people realigning and reassessing values. And I came to the point, like I said to you just now, where I realized I can impact one human one-on-one at a time in the day, right? So you reach a limit. There's only so many client visits I can book. There's an income ceiling, right? When you're fee for service, you can only see so much. But when you start becoming a mentor, when you start becoming a leader, now I can work with 15 physios or 15 low vision specialists to impact their 15 people in the day. And all of a sudden now it's turning into hundreds of people rather than just 1 or 2 at a time.
Yeah.
And that to me has become just as rewarding as working one-on-one, because I am now helping the people help the people. And that's my tagline on it, LinkedIn. That's my personal motto right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So how many people do you have in the organization?
There's over 350, I believe, nationally. My portfolio right now is BC, Alberta, Northwest Territories, and the Yukon.
Mhm.
So, I think probably roughly just under 100 in the Western region.
Yeah.
And managers and frontline staff. So it's not a huge organization by any means. We have a very, very specialized workforce. There's not a lot of people trained to do what we do. And so
Mhm.
when we have a retirement, it's hard to find people to replace. And so we try to take care of the people that we have. Yeah.
Yeah. What type of training is like it? Would that be like an occupational therapist type training, or is it, what does that look like?
Yeah. So we have most of our specialists, frontline staff, are certified specialists who are certified by a credentialing body. It's actually international, but it's based in the US. And those specialties require a master's degree level of training and then writing an exam after, hundreds of clinical hours of practice. The training is only offered by 2 universities in Canada. And so just even finding people who know what low vision therapy is,
Yeah.
who have decided to go to university and then are wanting to work for our organization, it's not easy. And so we actually work with apprenticeship, we bring in people on apprenticeships, and explore options with students to try to fill vacancies. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a tough one when there's not a lot of feeder schools that are going
Mm.
into that program. And I mean, I didn't know this existed
Mhm.
until a few days ago when I started researching before the podcast. But a lot of people probably don't know about that, so they don't even know that that's a career path. So
Yeah,
then it's like you
exactly.
guys are the ones that almost have to drive the pre-recruitment, then the recruitment into those roles.
Exactly. But circling back to your question, yeah, OT is a 2-year master's level program. Physio is a 2-year level master's level program. So similar to that. People can come in with many different backgrounds. Sometimes it's optometrists who decide to retrain, into a functional vision field.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kinesiologists, our orientation and mobility specialists. They're the ones that get this to work with the fun stuff like the guide dogs, the puppies, training people to walk
Nice.
with
Yes.
canes. And so a kin degree is a good, entry level to that type of work.
Yeah.
We do employ some occupational therapists. I have 5 OTs in BC. So yeah,
So there's
it's
some overlap and
there
mixing
is
with some of that stuff then as
absolutely,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, the service that you guys offer, does it have to go through like a physician referral, or how does somebody get in with your organization if they need that assistance?
We take referrals from absolutely anyone. Because we are provincially funded, for example, we're in Alberta, any Albertan resident is eligible for our services fully funded. And so we'll take referrals from physicians, of course, from ophthalmologists, optometrists, as well as OTs, PTs. But you could refer yourself, you could refer your family member. We've had
Okay.
neighbors call in and refer their neighbor, noticing that, John down the street, he started to trip and fall. I think you need to go see him. And so, of course, we can't provide services without consent from that
Yeah.
client. But yeah, we'll take referrals from anyone.
Okay. What are some of the challenges? Like you said, you've got some of the northern the territories up there in your portfolio, your mandate. What are some of the challenges in areas like that where people are typically spaced out much more than we are in the more urban centers?
Well, yeah, for sure. Challenging is the word, offering services in the north. We have teams that go up to provide services in both the Yukon and in the Northwest Territories a couple times a year. Wish it could be more often, but it's a couple times a year. The challenges are geography, first and foremost.
Hmm.
We can work with the clients in the big centers like Yellowknife and Whitehorse, but then using the Northwest Territories as an example, certain times of year, the ice bridges are melted, people can't get in, it's flying communities only, they're expensive to travel.
Hmm.
So we do some trips into remote communities if there's enough clients to justify that trip.
Yeah.
We just had an agreement now with, or providers on the benefit grid for the non-insured health benefits program, which offers services for people with First Nations or Inuit status, and they fund medical travel for the clients, so that's helpful. So geography is one challenge, culture and language is another challenge. The culture up there doesn't operate on the normal calendar, right? If the geese are flying and the elk are moving, then it's hunting season. I don't care if I have an appointment. Like, this is the way it goes, right? And so we try to offer culturally sensitive care, but it can be challenging scheduling.
Yeah.
Communication is another huge problem. People don't just have cell towers everywhere. So even communicating by phone or email can be interesting.
I never thought of that. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course they wouldn't. I mean,
yeah,
I always think like when I get on an airplane, sometimes like even in the airplane on the tarmac, sometimes I lose reception. I'm like, this is crazy. I
yeah,
had reception 300 feet that way, but not here. Well, of course, up in northern Canada, they're not going to have that same reception.
right, exactly. Yeah. Those are the big ones, I think: communication, geography, and culture. Interestingly, it's one I never would have predicted, but getting a hotel room in Yellowknife in certain times of year is just about impossible, because the Northern Lights are a huge tourist attraction, and then the migration patterns are a huge research. There's tons of research that happens in the north. And
Okay.
so we have to time our trips really around when we can get hotel rooms. So yeah.
You have to start bringing tents up with everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Have a little camp up there. When I'm not sure, would they be a client or a patient? What would you refer to somebody as?
We refer to our clients. We use the word
Okay, so
clients.
client.
Yeah.
So when a client comes to you, are they coming in for, is that kind of a set period of time to help them get up and running? Are they a lifelong client? Is it there when they need it and they try to do it on their own as much as possible, but then if there are challenges, they come back?
Yes to all of the above. So yeah, vision loss is unfortunately one of those disabilities that doesn't usually become fully cured. So once a client becomes a client of ours, they
Mhm.
are registered and they're in our system for life. Are they actively receiving services with us? Not always, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
we do goal-based, intervention-based care. So when a client comes to us, they've got a goal. For example, I've just moved, person's fully blind, legally blind, they've moved, they need to learn how to navigate from their house to the bus stop. So once they've learned that skill of how to get from the house to the bus stop with their cane, their intervention's done, goal is met, and it's closed. But yeah, unless a client removes consent and wants to be taken out of our system, they're typically returning clients for different goals that come up through the
yeah,
course of life. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. When you deal with the client, is there like at the beginning, is it, here's the outcome that we'd like to see, here's the goals that we're going to achieve, and then kind of measured against that? Or is it, we're going to do as best as we can to just get that level up to the highest it can be?
It is very goals-based, absolutely. Setting those goals is a combined, conversation of what are the client's goals with
Mhm.
what can we realistically achieve, right?
Yeah.
A client
Yeah.
may have a goal that is not realistic, but we always try to put the client's goals at the center. And in fact, our new strategic plan that we're just launching now, it's one of our number one aim is client first. We always want to focus on what their goals are.
Yeah.
And then we set up a treatment plan to achieve that goal, whether, same as any rehab. You tear your ACL, it's going to take you 12 visits over the course of 8 weeks to get to the point where you can walk without your crutches. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
it's kind of a similar thing in vision rehab. We're going to set the goal of you being able to independently cook a meal or able to read, use your computer to
Mhm.
operate this software in this amount of time, and this is how many training sessions it's going to take to achieve
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Okay. And I don't want to put you on the spot with this one because you said earlier, you're more on the management side than the hands-in on, but with AI accelerating at such a fast pace, what do you see coming up in that area that can be, used as either aids moving forward to improve quality of life, or I don't know what what else it could do out there?
Yeah, I hesitate to say too much there because I'm learning just as much as everybody right now, what
Yeah.
the potential for AI is. Within our company, we employ a lot of staff members who have sight loss themselves. And we're
Oh, okay.
exploring the use of AI potentially first off in our contact center, right? And that's not just unique to us. Contact centers are looking at the use of AI to direct calls, the bots, right?
Yes,
Where might
yes.
I direct your call?
Yeah.
But from a rehabilitation standpoint, I was just reading some feedback from conferences that have been happening with regards to AI for that mobility, right? To have AI tell you, this light is changing, or working with Google Maps, or working with traffic patterns. Potentially to generate, same as Chat GPT, right? Like generate me a paragraph that says this, this, and this, or here's
Yeah.
this paragraph to bring it down to 10 words or less. So who knows, to be honest, where AI is going to go. But I think the
Yeah.
wearables, like wearable technology, like the glasses that can tell you
Mhm.
things in front of you, mobility, and then potentially the computer-based programming,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, again, I'm probably going to stop talking there because I just don't know enough about it.
So what's on the horizon for yourself and for the organization?
What's on the horizon? Well, I'm fairly new in my role. So when you ask what's on the horizon for myself, my role is to really just dig in right now
Yeah.
and achieve some of the strategic planning goals. I'm really, really passionate about integrating our services more into the healthcare space and working more with, mainstream rehabilitational specialists such as OTs, PTs,
Yeah.
speech language pathologists. Advocating always for more funding for our clients.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's really important, as well as diversifying our funding models so that we're not reliant just on government funding. So that's another strategic priority of mine. As an organization, it kind of aligns. We're really looking at organizational sustainability from a workforce perspective, because we do have an aging workforce that will need, there'll be some turnover coming up.
Yeah.
We're looking at one of our other aims is broader reach. So just more brand awareness. We want people to know we exist. There's so many people that come to us and go, I had no idea these things were here. I've been isolated in my house for 2 years because I've been too afraid to go outside.
Yeah.
And you're free. Like we can access your services without any barriers. And the answer is yes, absolutely. So we really want to make sure that the people that need us know that we're here. Underserved communities are not ignored, for whatever reason that is, whether it's economic, language, cultural, there's lots of reasons the community can be underserved. And back to our first aim, always keeping the forefront on the client, in what ways creatively we can help them live their best lives.
Oh, that's great. If somebody wants to learn more about you or connect with you or learn more about the organization, where would they go for that?
So Vision Rehabilitation Canada is our website. So Vision Loss, Rehabilitation Canada. And I'm just Googling it right now to make sure I have the
Perfect.
right website for you. So visionlossrehab.ca, and
Okay.
on there is where we take all of our referrals, right? So we take referrals from physicians can refer online there. You can fill out a community referral form online. Phone number you can reach us at if your site does not allow you to use online platforms. We take phone calls. You can connect with me personally through LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook as well, but LinkedIn is a good place to reach me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, certainly appreciate having you on the show today and wish you all the best moving forward and keep pushing the funding side. I know that's always the fun part of non-for-profits, right?
Absolutely. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, Matt, to tell everyone a little bit about our amazing organization. And yeah, much appreciated.
Thank you, Kim. Bye.
You've been listening to Beyond Wealth, Success Unscripted with Matt Calnan. Want to be our next guest? Visit beyondwealthpodcast.ca/guest. See you on the next episode.